we go. All right, we've already bowed in, so we can start after this. This was kind of fun. I wanted to, for a difference, I wanted to read number 2, Shokushu, the value of our existence. We are born of the key of the universe. Let us appreciate that we are born not as plants and animals, but as human beings blessed with the universal mind. Let us pledge to accomplish our mission, which is to join the circle of development of the universe. So many of you probably know, but yesterday, does anybody know what yesterday was? Yesterday was January 20th. And on January 20th, 1920, Toy Sensei was born. Yesterday was his birthday. I happen to always remember that because it's another friend of mine's birthday on that day, but I specifically know that January 20th, 1920, that was his birthday and birth year. So when I think of Toy Sensei, I think of a specific word. And what I'd like you to do is in your meditation, I want you to think of just one word that would describe Toy Sensei if you had a relationship or knew him or interacted with him, or if you did not, like some of you may not have known him, think of a word that, just one word that describes his legacy or his teaching. So you can kind of talk about it in the group session, or in fact, you know, we may not even have to have a group session. We can just go one by one after the meditation and say what word. I'll volunteer my word, and then everybody else can think of their word. Would you prefer to have a discussion about your word before it, or do you want a spot on analysis, you know, on the spot, what your word describes your feelings towards Toy Sensei? I personally don't care. A discussion might help you come up with something, so maybe we'll have a little discussion. That might be good, since everyone kind of gave the I don't care symbol. And we'll go with some meditation. So go ahead and gently close your eyes, sit up straight. I'll break out the bell. So the word I used is, when I think of Toy Sensei, is commitment. You know, the commitment he had on his path, you know, to do what he did and the journey he took, it took a lot. And you think about the commitment he shared with everyone, you know, of his values, and the commitment he had with the teaching and spreading the principles, you know, coming to the United States, doing what he did. That took a lot. And I'm always amazed. And I of course, you know, we'll never face that kind of situation because Aikido spread throughout the world. But before, you know, in 1953, when he came here, first time, nobody knew what Aikido was. Nobody knew what it was. They thought, they had all kinds of weird thoughts. I remember, you know, there's a funny interview with Toy Sensei. I remember a long time, somebody asked Toy Sensei, it's really new, he's in New York City, and he's teaching Aikido for the first time, and they said, Sensei, can you move the salt and pepper with your ki? And he picked it up and moved it and said, I did. And they were thinking, no, you're supposed to use your ki, right? They didn't know what that was. So, you know, there was such misunderstanding that was with Aikido. And I think that's, I think the commitment he had to move forth is a really good, it's what I think, you know, that best describes him. So I'm very interested into what you guys, you know, did. So who would like to volunteer?
I'll go. Commit was one of my thoughts, but what really stood out for me was presence. Just his presence was so big. You know, he filled a room, literally. And when you looked at him, he was everything like that. The commitment that went with it, with that presence, um, you just felt him. And I remember him going around to all of us in a seminar when we were doing Nikki Owaza, and he would take our hands and go like nothing, like nothing, and it was absolutely like nothing. So, but it's you couldn't resist it. But so presence to me was very, very strong. He taught us about how to be present, and he just exemplified it, and he lived it. And one part of it, the stories that I've been told about him um, not sleeping at night to protect his soldiers in the war with China, and walking in the daytime, holding onto somebody's shoulder, sleeping, but he knew when something was coming up. And the story about him being asleep and somebody deciding they'll sneak up on him and do something, and as they get up to the bed, he speaks to them and startles them. So he just seemed to be always present.
Yeah, yeah, and and physically he was 5 foot tall. It wasn't 5 foot tall. That's how tall he was. Not much. You think about 5 foot tall. Yeah, a lot of people towered over him, but his presence, he was much bigger in person, even when he got older. Yeah, great. Anybody else?
Hello, Sensei. Can you hear me?
Hello. Yes.
Oh, good, good. I'm glad I can talk in the meeting now. I don't know what was going on last week, but I'm glad I have it now.
Good.
Anyway, I kind of wanted to share because at first I felt like I really didn't have a word because I'd never met Tohei Sensei. I started training right when he passed, and I was 11, and so I really had no idea what was going on. Um, and when I would think of a word, I felt like I would have to think of a word to describe all of Aikido, right? And that's really I could say connection or something. I felt like whatever word I would say was cliche, but when we were talking in the meeting, I felt like I kind of stumbled into something because of something Vitali said. He described Tohei Sensei as having a smiley personality, and that's what I would say. My word for Tohei Sensei and his impact on my Aikido training, it would be attitude. I think that I've learned so much from so many different people, and I feel like that Tohei Sensei has a direct impact on kind of my understanding of attitude when it comes to training. And one of the things I said in the meeting was from all the stories I've heard, it I always imagine Aikido, back from O Sensei, and when O Sensei and Tohei Sensei would train, and Aikido was very, kind of tough and brutal, for lack of better words, especially when it compared to Aikido now. And Tohei Sensei was really kind of recontextualized that, and I wish I knew more about him, but I think that I don't know, that's something that's something I feel like I've learned from Tohei Sensei, is the attitude when you're training.
Yeah, that's
Anyway,
very
thank
good.
you.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. Yeah, he definitely took the martial out of Aikido in a sense of, you know, not trying to do something to somebody, that kind of thing, that conflict. Yeah, I don't disagree at all. I think that's a good a word to describe him. Anybody else?
Hello, Sensei. Oh, hey, can you hear me? Hello.
You're really faint. Is that you, Lucky?
Yeah, sorry, I've been told that something's going on with my mic, but I'll try and talk louder.
Okay.
Anyway, I think my word would be, I guess, kind of like Jack said, thinking of a word from our standpoint is kind of summing up all of Aikido. But to me, that word would probably be calm,
Cool.
because one of the teaching in Aikido is to be calm in any situation, and I've been over the past few years, as I've gotten older, I've been doing my best to apply that to other aspects of my life, trying to keep a level head and just stay calm at all times, or like no matter what arises, staying calm is usually a good idea for any situation. So I think that would be my word.
Right. Yeah. Being calm, being open to whatever arises. Yeah, I agree. That's a good word. Calmness. Calm in action. That was the Shokushu he talked about. Keeping one point and maintaining calmness in action. That's always something we talk about. So yeah, good choice. Anybody else?
Hello,
Hello.
it's Lilia.
Yes.
Okay, so, and this was fun because I picked the cliche word connection
Mhm.
because I wanted it to be something personal. And like Gloria said, when Tohei Sensei walked into a room, you felt his presence. He filled up the room. And you were connected to him whether you wanted to be or not. It just happened. And I only got to meet him a few times, and train with him a few times, but it was enough to really see that and to feel that connection. And the connection to everybody and everything with no judgment.
Yeah.
So that was my take on it.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I like that. You said you would be connected no matter what.
Yeah.
No matter what. He was there. He was
No choice.
connected to you. There was no choice. Exactly. Good.
Okay.
Good. Thank you. Anybody else?
I'll go. Well, my word was fundamental.
Oh,
And kind of like what Jack said, and several of us in our group thought this too, that he just knew how to, somehow he had profound insights into human nature, and he was questioning our reason for being, our whole being, and he led us into ways to begin to realize our connection to the universe, if you want to call it that, but whatever reality is. He was so interested in that, and the shokushu really were lead us into having these thoughts and understanding more. So, and as Jack was saying, always able to help us use friendship and openness and extending ki. This is a profound insight about human nature that to me is fundamental. So my word is kind of, it needs explanation, but fundamental.
yeah. Yeah, that's good. I mean, he was very good at describing things, breaking it down into a very fundamental level so anyone could understand it. Not just, you had to be super advanced to understand it, but he could talk to the beginner and help them understand it. Yeah, that's really good. And I remember reading a story about him and somebody saying that he was a master teacher in English, and that wasn't even his native language. So he could only imagine how good he was in his native language, because he was an American, of course, that told the story. And of course, Toi Sensei's English wasn't perfect, but he had just a handle on it that he could communicate very clearly. So yeah, thank you. Anybody else? Vitaly.
Yes. Hello, Sensei. Hello, everyone again. My word was simple. Fortunately, I didn't know Tohei Sensei personally because I started to practice Sensei Aikido 6 years ago. The time Tohei Sensei had passed away. But I saw him on video recording. I read some of his books, and I practice Ki Aikido. Probably there is some influence of my present teachers on this word, but it seems to me he was very simple. His his books are much more simple than other concerning since Shintoitsu Aikido, concerning Gyatso and Ki, and other books are much more complicated. But Tohi Sensei's ones are very simple. But another words, and we discussed in group is, and I like it, and I'm not sure as simple as the best word. Another word is smile. It seems to me he has an internal smile, and a hidden smile by his mom. He smiles he smiled internally from one point, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. That's both excellent observations, and it's interesting because I remember when I started Aikido. Of course, I started in Arizona, and I'd never I'd read the books and never met him until much later in his life. But when I remember coming across a videotape. This is before the internet was a big thing, and we got these VHS tapes, and there was a black and white tape on these series of tapes that you could buy from headquarters. It was him teaching "This is Aikido," and it had a real radio announcer voice. And watching him move, I was just mesmerized. I mean, I was like, "Holy smokes, this guy is so calm, so smooth, so he didn't move fast, but it was so smooth that it was fast, and it was I really enjoyed that. I just remember going, wow, what an incredible teacher. I want to learn Aikido from him, when I watch the videos, of course. But yeah, I totally can see that. That's really good. Yeah, both internal smile and simply, communicating the basics. Yeah, for sure. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, Lynn Curtis Sensei.
Well, I want to thank you for bringing up this topic and reminding us of this date. And really, as soon as you mention him, all I can think of is a teacher, my teacher's teacher. And it was fun reminiscing about, all of our past histories with him, and really remarking on the depth of Ki and all of the principles in the Shokushu, and how it's just it's never ending learning from these really simple statements, and just as we grow in our practice and training, you're touched more deeply and deeply by it. And so
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Any specific word?
Just I don't know. I'm still profoundly awed by his depth of understanding and what he wanted to teach us.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, I mean, I always like to revisit these topics only because when you get a diverse group, you get the old timers, you get people who never knew Toy Sensei, and if you don't share your stuff with them, it'll get lost. Super important to reminisce and understand, the importance of individuals and Toy Sensei, Suzuki Sensei, Curtis Sensei, all the teachers that have the commitment to carry on the teaching. It's really good. And yeah, I mean, and to think of Toy Sensei, a guy born in 1920 who I remember talking to some people whose Japanese was, back in the day, Japan, vocabulary was much broader than it is now. They've kind of reduced the kanjis to get more and more people incorporated with using the kanji in the Japanese language. So he would bring out words, and I remember Kashiwa Sensei go, I'd have to go to the dictionary and look up the word he was using, because his vocabulary was so vast, from being able, from growing up in the 1920s, going through World War II, and then coming to America and understanding everyone and wanting to spread the principles that he learned and seeing what he saw in his teachers. O-Sensei was his teacher, Tempu Nakamura was his teacher, Ogura at the Ichikukai was his teacher, and blending it all into one, group of Aikido and sharing it with everybody, I think. Super important. He was doing cross training before it was cool. So, anyway, anybody else? I think we got. Oh, John, go ahead.
So I think I misunderstood, but I thought you said to describe what Tohei Sensei describe him in a sense with one word.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think I kind of cheated in a sense because I was thinking about a word, like he's a great teacher, this calmness, this presence, and then I'm thinking shapes like he's kind of a trapezoid, but almost like a dense, pyramid. And so what I came up with was Mount Fuji. First, I came up with mountain, and then I realized, he's not just a mountain. He's kind of like this, very formed, mountain, which the only mountain I could think of was Mount Fuji. Yeah. So he's Mount Fuji.
I see. Yeah. And what does Mount Fuji exemplify to you?
It's like it's awe-inspiring, and it's just like when you look at it, you're just like boom. It's just this thing that's just almost not perfection, but like just kind of that symbolism of like perfection.
Yeah, in Japan, Mount Fuji is a major symbol of the country. Yeah. And in the Aikido world, Toi Sensei is one of the main symbols of Aikido. Yeah, so I can see that. Yeah, very good. Fincher, you also had your hand up.
I did, yeah. So Lynn, your word, you didn't define it, but you did say profound, right? Is that close? Profound?
Sure, close enough.
Okay. Well, John was going high, I'm going low. I'm going to, my word was rooted.
Rooted, okay.
Rooted, yeah, because he is, through his roots, all of this blossomed. Mm-hmm. Everything that we're talking about. So he is rooted in the teaching, and everything flows through those roots.
Yeah.
That was mine.
Oh, yeah, very good. Yeah. I think everybody kind of spoke, there was no right answer, of course, no wrong answer. It kind of just to evoke thought, kind of to get you to describe and, revisit your feelings about Toi Sensei and, the understanding. And so I challenge all of you, the word you selected is make that a part of your life, Lynn, be profound. Not that you not already are profound. Fincher, be rooted. John, be the Mount Fuji. And so on and so forth. And just think how that applies to you in your life. It's not that, being there's no perfect teacher. Teaching isn't about perfection. It's about exploration, And Toi Sensei was like the Columbus in the sense, the Christopher Columbus of delving out there and making these teachings available to everybody. And his goal was to make everything available to everybody. And so he always was learning. He never considered himself an expert. He even said, oh, my teacher now is the universe, So he was always open to that. So it's always good to understand that and always think about standing on his shoulders, stand on your teacher's shoulders. He's now passed away, and Shinichi Sensei's carrying on his teaching, and Curtis Sensei definitely does, and we just have to kind of, show appreciation for that, gratitude for that, of course, and but make it a part of your life, be that symbol in yourself. And trust me, when you think about it, every time you get upset, get angry at somebody or yourself, and think about that about you. Oh yeah, this is how I have to be. Just, it's always you can always get mad, get upset, but come back to one point. You stray off. What do we say? Come back to the breath, etc. When you're in meditation. So, yeah, I think that's very good. Anyone else would like to comment? It's good. We're all good. So it's 7 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and close. Domo arigatou gozaimashita. Thank you all very much, and we'll see you next Friday.